One brother left a comment telling that when he is too happy, he can become feminine. And I wanted to address this point because it's very important. I will do more videos on masculinity in future, but for now I wanted to say that it takes time to become a man. I have an announcement. Before proceeding with this video, I would like you to send an email to me with your story. If you want my opinion on relationships, on life, on emotions, or in general, send me an email to the address down below. And with your permission, I would like to share it with others. I'm sure it would help many people. I haven't decided in which format, but I'm quite sure that I will do this live in near future. So yet again, I will leave the address to my email. Make sure that you don't leave out important details. And I'm expecting interesting stories from you. When you're a child, regardless of the gender, you have a lot of feminine energy. And that feminine energy stays with you up until adolescence. The transition from being a girl to womanhood is quite natural, because it's a transformation from one feminine state to another. But the transition from being a boy to manhood is much more complicated. Manhood demands a lot of responsibility, to learn about discipline, ownership, becoming the leader and protector that your community deserves. And for that you have to go through an extensive mentorship, which was a very noble thing in ancient times, taking boys and training them in camps, making them into men. I'm sure you have heard of several kings of the past taking up their throne at very young age. They weren't waiting several decades for you to mature, and the act of being virtuous was one of the codes in transitioning to becoming a man. I have done a video about virtue. You are welcome to check out, so you know what I'm talking about. Learning the code of honor, nobility, responsibility, integrity, and loyalty. What I'm trying to say, that kind of a mentorship is quite absent nowadays. We live in a different era where societies are favored by having conformant citizens. And in that say, you have to know that masculinity is a total opposite to conformity. There's a huge difference between nature and nurture. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time to discover our nature before the nurture takes over. And we assume belief system that doesn't belong to us from all ads, propaganda, news, government. That's why it's so confusing nowadays for people who don't feel that they belong in their own bodies, because there's an internal clash going on within us. We have these fixed beliefs that society tells us about, and at the same time our nature screams inside and wants out, wants to be acknowledged. The mind is a very powerful thing. And once you have learned something, you get ego invested in that certain belief. That's why it's so painful to get rid of it, to overwrite your system and rebuild a new one. The same thing happens when you invest yourself into a relationship with someone, both romantic and otherwise. When you lose that person, it's like the part of you becomes erased. It conflicts with your operative system, and you feel anxiety, you feel depression, you are suffering. A sort of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And I've already talked about trauma being a blessing in disguise, because it's a great opportunity to learn something new, to adapt new beliefs, or rather to seek the truth. Because if you believe in something, it's like you close yourself off for new knowledge to enter. Don't be a believer, be a seeker. Criticize everything that you know. And yes, that includes your own parents and their ways of fostering you. So I needed this build up to go back to the question at hand. My dear friend, I know exactly what you mean. You are feeling feminine when you're happy. It's because you are expressing your authentic self. Notice that I didn't say your nature. Your authentic self is what you believe to be. It's the programming of your mind. And when you're trying to cultivate masculine energy within you, it will always conflict with your belief system. And as I was telling before, your nature clashes with your nurture. You're trying to erase your operative system that has been with you a long time, and it won't go away overnight. When you're the happiest, you loosen up, you express your emotions, but still you have the self-awareness enough to know that it's feminine, which means you are making progress. For the moment being, you have to think consciously about what you do, your attitude, your actions, your mannerisms, your gestures, because you're trying to relearn, reprogram yourself into becoming what you're born to be. That is the tragic of current living situation. We have to learn to be ourselves. We have to find ourselves, our true nature, after a long time of pretending to be someone else. So my suggestion would be to think about it as an exam that you're preparing for. Do you know the best possible way to strengthen your knowledge, to fixate your knowledge before exams? Yes, to practice. First, you learn the theory, and then you practice. Then you practice some more. And after some time, you practice even more until you have practiced so many times, so many years, within so many different situations that the knowledge becomes internalized. It becomes a part of you, inseparable, one with you. From that point on, you will be operating automatically, without even thinking, without even stopping and pondering whether that was masculine or feminine. You will beat that knowledge inside of your brain. And when your operating system coincides with your nature, you will be having the most profound experiences in life. That is my honest belief. Why do you think people suffer? Because they are not living according to their deepest truth, which is what you are. So you ask when you will be ready? When you don't have to ask that question anymore. Or saying out.